This video will explain how to complete the allele frequencies, which is data table 3 we see here at the bottom. In order to do this, you need to have the genotypic ratios from data table 2 completed. Again, you get these numbers by simply adding up how many of each genotype you have. So looking at 790 here for row 4, big B, there's 7 that I got. This is sample data, so I put 7 here. There is 7 big B. For big B, little b, there was 9 of them. So I wrote a 9 here to represent I have 9 heterozygous individuals. And the 0 at the end, because in this particular trial, I did not get any homozygous recessive individuals. So I put a 0 there. Now, to complete this, since I'm talking about row 4 here, let's complete row 4 down below. How do I get this filled in? In order to do that, you do need this genotypic ratio 790, and I would very strongly recommend writing this out on a sheet of paper as it makes it a little bit easier to follow. So I'm going to put my genotypic ratio, the letters were the B's, and I had 7 of these, 9 of these, none of those. How do I get this? All right, first let's look at how to get the first box here, the number of big B's and the number of little b's. How do we get those two numbers? I need this to get those numbers. So big B, I see 1, 2, 3 big B's. Those are all little. I need to attach this big B to the number it's coming from, which is 7. I'm going to take 7, and I got 7 big B's there. Do the same for this one. What number is this big B attached to? It's attached to 7 again. How about this big B? It's attached to 9. This tells us what we have to add together. I have, for this big B, 7. For this big B, 7 more. And for this big B, 9. So when I add that together, let's see, I get 14 plus 9 is 23. That number 23, that's what I put right there. I had 23 big B's. Now let's get our lowercase b, our recessive. I apologize for the music. We're going to work through it. Little b. Let's look at our little b's. There's a little b. It's attached to the number 9. Here's a little b. It's attached to the number 0. This little b, also attached to the number 0. Now we can add up all of our little b's. Looks like this little b is attached to 9. This little b is attached to 0. This little b is attached to 0. And that adds up to 9. That number is what I put right there. All right. That's probably the toughest part that we'll have to do to get this data table filled in. Now let's get our frequencies and let's get our percents. Keep in mind, the percent is going to tell us what percent of all of the alleles combined are dominant, big B. All right, so in order to figure out that, we need to know how many total alleles we have. Well, I have 23 here, and I have 9 there. So I have to add those two together. So 23 plus 9. 23 plus 9. Where did I get those? From right there. From right there. So 23 plus 9, that adds up to 32. This number I need to use to get my percent. So 23 and 9. Both of those numbers I have to divide by 32. So divide by 32 and divide by 32. So that 32 will go there, and it will go there. Now I can break out my calculator. 23 divided by 32, 0.71. We'll just call it what it is, 0.71. Repeat for this one. 9 divided by 32. 9 divided by 32. 0.28. 0.28. Those two answers, those go right here. So this one was 0.71. And this one was 0.28. Now all I need is my percentage for both. And to get my percentage, I take this number, multiply it by 100, take this number, multiply it by 100. Could use your calculator if you needed it, but 0.71 times 100 I know to be 71%. 0.28 times 100 I know to equal 28, and that is a percent. Now this and this will help me complete that row. So I got 71% and I got 28%. The exact same procedure is what you'll need to complete rows 2, 3, 4, and 5 on yours using your data. Again, these numbers I completely made up. You'll need to use your numbers to get your frequencies, your percents, and your numbers of the recessive and dominant allele. Again, I would recommend drawing this out on paper. It does help give you something that you can actually write on and see and not have to try to process all of this in your head. And you would set up the exact same way that I did here. So if I wanted to do another one, I would simply write this again. And I would grab another genotypic ratio, maybe 7, 11, 2 if I want to do row 3 next. Let's write it out again. 7, 11, 2. Repeat this process to get my numbers. Add them up. Add them up. Take that number, divide, divide, and you're basically done at that point.